Welcome to the Deep Sleep Library, where we explore history, myths, and stories in a calm and relaxing way, perfect for winding down or falling asleep. If you enjoy peaceful journeys into old worlds and forgotten times, you can support this channel by liking this video, subscribing, and leaving a comment to share your thoughts. It helps more dreamers find their way here. Today, we'll be exploring Greek mythology, a world of gods, heroes, humans, and imagination. From the emptiness of chaos to the adventures of Odysseus, we'll take our time, reflect, and slowly wander through these ancient stories. So, get comfortable, settle in, and let's begin. Chapter 1: Introduction to Greek Mythology. Greek mythology is a collection of stories that ancient Greeks told to explain the world around them, human nature, and the gods who ruled over everything. These myths are full of gods, heroes, monsters, and magical events, but they also reflect very human emotions: love, jealousy, anger, curiosity, and cleverness. In this series, we'll explore these myths slowly, chapter by chapter, so you can learn, relax, and maybe even drift off to sleep as you hear the stories. Why Greek myths matter. For the ancient Greeks, myths weren't just entertainment. They were a way to explain things they didn't understand. Why the seasons change. Why storms happen. Why humans face challenges and tragedies. They were also a way to teach lessons. Stories that warned about pride, greed, and disobedience, and celebrated courage, cleverness, and resilience. Even today, these stories influence art, literature, and culture. Movies, books, and games often borrow from the gods, heroes, and monsters of Greek mythology. The world of Greek mythology. Before we meet the gods and heroes we know, it's important to imagine the world they lived in. Mount Olympus, home of the Olympian gods. The seas, ruled by Poseidon, full of monsters and adventures. The underworld, ruled by Hades, where the dead reside. Islands and cities, where humans lived and encountered gods, monsters, and heroes. This world is both familiar and magical. Humans live in it, but so do beings who are far more powerful, clever, or strange than anything we experience today. Structure of these stories. Greek myths often involve conflict between gods, humans, or monsters, moral or lesson showing the consequences of actions, cleverness or strength, highlighting human qualities like bravery and intelligence. Sometimes the gods help humans, sometimes they hinder them, and sometimes they act in ways that seem unfair or unpredictable. This makes the stories exciting, complicated, and, at times, surprisingly relatable. A gentle warning for listeners. As you listen, remember that Greek myths can be dramatic and sometimes violent. They were created to explain life, not to scare people. You might hear about battles, trickery, or strange creatures. Just imagine them as stories, larger-than-life tales that give meaning to the world and show human qualities reflected in gods, monsters, and heroes. Setting the stage. In the coming chapters, we will start at the very beginning. How the world was created, who the Titans were, and how the first gods came to power. How humans first entered these stories, and how heroes like Perseus, Theseus, and Heracles changed everything. By the end, you'll have a slow, calm, and clear journey through the fascinating world of Greek mythology, perfect for learning, relaxing, and letting your mind wander in a magical world of gods and heroes. Chapter 2: Chaos and the First Beings. Before there were gods, heroes, or humans, there was chaos. Now, when we say chaos, it doesn't mean a messy room or traffic jam. In Greek mythology, chaos was a vast, empty void, nothing solid, no light, no earth, no sky. It was just emptiness. From this emptiness, the first beings emerged, forming the foundation of the universe. Gaia, the earth. The first and most important being was Gaia, the earth itself. She was solid, nurturing, and gave life to everything that would come later. Gaia represents the world beneath our feet: mountains, valleys, rivers, and soil. She wasn't a goddess in the small human sense. She was the earth itself, alive and aware. Tartarus, the deep abyss. From chaos also came Tartarus, a dark and deep abyss beneath the earth. It's where some of the earliest and later enemies of the gods would be imprisoned. Think of it as the Greek idea of a cosmic basement, deep, dark, and mysterious. Eros, the force of attraction. Another early being was Eros, not necessarily the cute, winged version we often see today. This Eros was a primordial force, representing attraction, desire, and connection. Without Eros, the first beings could not come together, and creation would have stalled. It's interesting to notice how the Greeks thought of creation. Earth gave structure. Chaos provided emptiness. Desire and attraction made creation possible. Even in these early stages, the Greeks were thinking about balance, order, chaos, and connection. The birth of the Titans. Gaia, the earth, gave birth to Uranus, the sky, who stretched above her as a covering. Together, Gaia and Uranus had children, the Titans, powerful beings who would later rule the universe. The Cyclopes, one-eyed giants with incredible craftsmanship. The 100-handed giants, enormous beings with 50 heads and 100 arms, each capable of immense power. These beings were enormous, powerful, and sometimes dangerous. The Cyclopes, for example, would later forge the thunderbolts for Zeus, weapons capable of massive destruction. Conflict between Uranus and his children. Uranus, the sky, didn't get along with all his children. He feared their power, especially the Cyclopes and 100-handed giants, so he imprisoned them inside Gaia, deep in the earth. This angered Gaia, who wanted her children free. She forged a sickle and asked the Titans to help her overthrow Uranus. Only Cronus, the youngest Titan, agreed. He ambushed Uranus and castrated him, separating the sky from the earth. This act marked the first cosmic rebellion, the first time one generation of divine beings overthrew another. Why this matters? These early stories set the stage for everything that followed. The idea of generational conflict, younger gods replacing older ones. Themes of power, fear, and cleverness. The connection between humans and the natural world, earth, sky, and desire. Even in these primordial times, the Greeks explored ideas of balance, consequence, and the cost of power. Side notes for relaxed listening. Imagine this slowly. The vast emptiness of chaos, Gaia rising from nothing, and the sky stretching above her. These are not just myths. They are explanations for how the Greeks understood their universe. The Cyclopes and 100-handed giants may sound like monsters, but they also show that creation involves both danger and potential. By the end of this chapter, the world is starting to take shape. There's earth, sky, and the first generation of divine beings. The stage is now set for the Titans and the eventual rise of the Olympian gods. Chapter 3: The Titans and the Birth of the Gods. After the first beings emerged from chaos, Gaia, Uranus, Tartarus, and Eros, the next generation of divine beings arrived, the Titans. The Titans were enormous, ancient, and extremely powerful. They ruled the cosmos long before the Olympian gods. We are more familiar with Zeus, Hera, and their family. Gaia and Uranus. Gaia, the earth, had given birth to Uranus, the sky, who stretched over her as a covering. Together they had many children, the Titans, the Cyclopes, and the hundred-handed giants. The Cyclopes had a single eye but unmatched craftsmanship, capable of forging incredible weapons. The hundred-handed giants had 50 heads and 100 arms each, intimidating, powerful, and a little hard to imagine. Uranus, however, feared his children's power. He trapped the Cyclopes and the hundred-handed giants deep inside the earth. Gaia, naturally, was furious. Her children were being imprisoned, and she wanted to free them. She crafted a sickle and asked her Titan sons to help overthrow Uranus. Cronus and the First Rebellion. Only Cronus, the youngest Titan, agreed. He ambushed Uranus and castrated him with the sickle, separating the sky from the earth. This violent act marked the first power shift among the gods, showing that even divine rule could be challenged. From Uranus's blood, other beings were born, including the Furies, spirits of vengeance, and the giants. A reminder that even acts of rebellion create new challenges. The Age of the Titans. With Uranus overthrown, Cronus became the ruler of the cosmos. He married his sister Rhea, and together they had children: Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon, and Zeus. But Cronus feared the prophecy that one of his children would overthrow him, just as he had overthrown Uranus. To prevent this, he swallowed each child as soon as it was born. This was terrifying for Rhea, who loved her children dearly. The birth and hiding of Zeus. When Zeus, the youngest, was born, Rhea could not let him be swallowed. She secretly hid him in a cave on Crete, giving Cronus a stone wrapped in swaddling cloth instead. Zeus was raised in secret by nymphs, fed on honey and milk, and grew strong, clever, and patient. All qualities he would need to challenge Cronus later. The Titanomachy. When Zeus reached adulthood, he confronted Cronus. With Gaia's help, he gave Cronus a potion that forced him to vomit up his previously swallowed children. These siblings, now fully grown and ready, joined Zeus in the battle against the Titans. This 10-year war is called the Titanomachy. The battles were immense. Lightning and thunder from Zeus, earth-shaking strikes from the hundred-handed giants, Titans defending their strongholds across the cosmos. After 10 years, Zeus and the Olympians emerged victorious. The Titans were imprisoned in Tartarus, guarded by the hundred-handed giants, while the Olympians took control of the universe. The new order of the world. With the Titans defeated, the Olympian gods established their domains. Zeus ruled the sky and became king of the gods. Poseidon ruled the seas. Hades ruled the underworld. This division created a structured cosmos, with gods influencing every part of the world, and humans beginning to enter the stories of mythology. Why the Titans matter. The myths of the Titans explain generational change. New rulers replace old ones. Power struggles, even divine beings face conflict. The foundation of the world, setting the stage for the Olympian gods and human interaction. Even today, the stories of Cronus, Rhea, and the other Titans remind us of the themes of power, fear, rebellion, and eventual change. Side notes for relaxed listening. Imagine the vast earth, the sky above, and the immense Titans battling for control. Picture Zeus hiding in a cave, growing strong and clever, preparing to reclaim his family. The myths show that even gods are not static. They experience conflict, growth, and challenges, much like humans. By the end of this chapter, The stage is set for the Olympian gods, their personalities, and their relationships with humans. Chapter 4. The Olympian gods Zeus, Hera, and the divine family. After the Titanomachy, the Olympian gods took control of the cosmos. They established a new order. Zeus ruled the sky, Poseidon the seas, Hades the underworld, and their siblings and children occupied various roles across the world. The Olympians weren't just powerful. They were personalities in themselves, each with their quirks, strengths, and weaknesses. Zeus, king of the gods. Zeus, the youngest child of Cronus and Rhea, became king of the gods. He was strong, clever, and decisive, but also known for his mischievous and sometimes impulsive nature. Zeus controlled the sky, weather, and thunder. He often intervened in human affairs, sometimes helping, sometimes punishing. He carried thunderbolts, forged by the Cyclopes, as symbols of his power. Despite his authority, Zeus had a complex personality. He was wise and fair at times, but also jealous and prone to anger. Many myths involve Zeus pursuing love interests, which often caused trouble for mortals and gods alike. Hera, queen of the gods. Hera, Zeus's sister and wife, was the goddess of marriage and family. She was strong, dignified, and fiercely protective of her role as queen. Hera often clashed with Zeus, especially because of his affairs. Her stories show a goddess who was proud, cunning, and determined, not just a background character. Hera also played important roles in human myths, sometimes helping, sometimes punishing those who offended her. For example, she aided Greek heroes in the Trojan War but also caused mischief for those who challenged her authority. Poseidon, god of the sea. Poseidon, Zeus's brother, ruled the seas. He was powerful, moody, and unpredictable, much like the ocean itself. Poseidon could create storms, earthquakes, and shipwrecks. He carried a trident, his signature weapon. Many myths show Poseidon interacting with humans, punishing sailors who offended him, helping heroes like Odysseus, or competing with other gods for influence. Hades, lord of the underworld. Hades, the third brother, ruled the underworld. He was serious, solemn, and fair, but not evil, a common misconception. The underworld was where the dead resided. Hades maintained order, ensuring that souls stayed in their proper place. He rarely left his realm, but his presence was always felt, especially in myths about death or afterlife. Other key Olympians. Demeter, goddess of agriculture and fertility. Her story explains the changing seasons. Hestia, goddess of the hearth and home. She represents stability and domestic life. Athena, goddess of wisdom, strategy, and warfare. She helped heroes like Odysseus. Apollo, god of the sun, music, and prophecy, often associated with harmony and order. Artemis, goddess of the hunt and the moon, protector of animals and young women. Ares, god of war, aggressive and impulsive, representing the chaos of battle. Aphrodite, goddess of love and beauty. Her actions often caused unexpected consequences. Hephaestus, god of craftsmanship and fire, creator of weapons and tools. Hermes, messenger god, clever, swift, and mischievous, guiding both gods and humans. Dionysus, god of wine, revelry, and transformation. He represents freedom, indulgence, and chaos. The Olympians and humans. Unlike the Titans, the Olympians were closely involved in human affairs. They granted gifts, helped heroes, and punished wrongdoers. They often acted in ways humans could relate to, showing jealousy, desire, and cleverness. Myths about the Olympians taught lessons. Pride leads to punishment, cleverness can succeed, and humans are subject to forces beyond their control. This connection between gods and humans made the myths rich and engaging. It allowed storytellers to explain natural phenomena, human emotions, and cultural practices. Chapter 5: Creation of Humans and Early Myths. With the Olympian gods established on Mount Olympus, the world still needed humans. The Greeks had several stories explaining how humans came into being. Stories that were not only imaginative but also carried lessons about life, curiosity, and consequences. Prometheus and the creation of humans. One of the most famous myths involves Prometheus, a titan who favored humans. Prometheus had a gift. He was clever, thoughtful, and willing to bend the rules for the benefit of mankind. According to some versions of the myth, Prometheus shaped humans out of clay, giving them form and life. He taught them skills, helped them survive, and showed them how to live in a dangerous world. Humans were fragile, small, and vulnerable, so Prometheus wanted to give them something that would make life better. The gift of fire. Prometheus knew that humans needed fire to cook food, stay warm, and protect themselves. So he stole fire from the gods and gave it to humans. This was a bold, dangerous move because Zeus, king of the gods, did not want humans to have such power. Fire made humans more independent and capable, but it also challenged the authority of the gods. Zeus, angered by Prometheus's disobedience, decided to punish humans, but in a way that looked like a gift. The creation of Pandora. To punish humans for receiving fire, Zeus ordered the creation of Pandora, the first mortal woman. Hephaestus, the god of craftsmanship, shaped her from clay. Other gods added gifts. Beauty from Aphrodite, wisdom from Athena, cunning from Hermes, and curiosity from Zeus himself. Pandora was given a jar, later called a box, and told never to open it. Pandora's story highlights a theme the Greeks loved: curiosity and consequences. The opening of Pandora's box. Eventually, Pandora's curiosity got the better of her. She opened the jar, and all the troubles of the world escaped. Sickness and disease, pain and suffering, greed and envy. Only hope remained inside, showing that even in a world full of challenges, humans could endure. This myth explains why life is full of difficulties, but also why humans have the ability to persevere. It reminds listeners that curiosity can have consequences, but resilience and hope make life bearable. Other early human myths. Greek mythology also includes other stories about humans learning to survive and thrive. The ages of man. Hesiod, a Greek poet, described humans in stages, from the Golden Age, when life was peaceful and easy, to the Iron Age, full of labor and hardship, mortality and divine influence. Humans were always subject to the whims of the gods, showing that life required respect, caution, and cleverness. Skills and civilization. Myths credit certain gods with teaching humans skills. Demeter taught agriculture, Athena offered weaving, and Prometheus brought tools and fire. These early myths combined imagination with explanation, showing how humans became capable, intelligent, and aware of the world around them. Lessons from early human myths. Humans are fragile but clever, able to adapt and learn. Life is full of challenges, often caused by curiosity, pride, or divine interference. Hope and skill are what allow humans to survive and thrive. Greek myths about humans were not just entertaining stories, they were teaching tools, explaining the human condition, natural phenomena, and the consequences of our choices. Chapter 6: Prometheus and the Gift of Fire. By now, humans existed in the world, but life was harsh. They had bodies and minds, but they lacked the tools to survive warmth, cooked food, and protection. This is where Prometheus, the clever titan, enters the story. Who was Prometheus? Prometheus was a titan, but unlike the others who often stayed distant, he cared deeply about humans. He was intelligent, resourceful, and willing to bend the rules for their benefit. He taught humans how to use tools. He showed them how to hunt, farm, and build shelters. He was essentially the first mentor to mankind. But Prometheus knew that humans needed more, something that could truly empower them. Stealing fire. The gods kept fire for themselves. Without it, humans had no warmth, no cooked food, and no protection from the dangers of the world. Prometheus decided to steal fire from the gods. He sneaked into Olympus, the home of the gods. He took a spark of divine fire and gave it to humans. This act gave humans independence and power, letting them cook meals, stay warm, and protect themselves from wild animals. It was a bold and risky move because Zeus did not approve. Zeus's punishment. Zeus was furious. Humans had been given a gift he hadn't sanctioned, and Prometheus had disobeyed the gods. To punish Prometheus, Zeus devised a clever and painful plan. Prometheus was chained to a rock. Each day, an eagle came and ate his liver. At night, his liver would regenerate, and the cycle would continue forever. This punishment symbolized eternal suffering for defiance, but Prometheus endured it because he believed in helping humanity. The lesson for humans. Prometheus's story is not just about fire. It's about courage, cleverness, and sacrifice. Humans benefited from his defiance. They learned skills that allowed them to survive and thrive. They also understood that some blessings come with risk and consequences. Prometheus shows that even when actions have costs, long-term benefits can justify the risks. The connection to Pandora. After Prometheus gave humans fire, Zeus also punished mankind. He ordered the creation of Pandora, the first woman, designed to bring curiosity, beauty, and trouble. Pandora's jar or box released all the troubles of the world: disease, pain, greed, and suffering. Only hope remained, reminding humans that even in a world full of challenges, resilience and optimism endure. This sequence shows a balance. Gifts and progress come with responsibility and consequence. Why this myth endures. The story of Prometheus resonates because it's about human progress. Fire symbolizes knowledge, skill, and civilization. Defiance for the greater good. Sometimes standing up to authority benefits others. Endurance. Prometheus suffered greatly but never gave up on helping humans. It's a reminder that innovation often comes with struggle, and curiosity can be dangerous but essential. Chapter 7: Pandora's Box. After Prometheus gave humans the gift of fire, Zeus was still angry. Humans now had power, skill, and knowledge, and Zeus wanted to remind them, and Prometheus, that divine authority should not be taken lightly. This is where Pandora comes into the story. The creation of Pandora. Zeus ordered the gods to create Pandora, the first mortal woman. Hephaestus, the god of craftsmanship, shaped her from clay. Athena gave her the skills of weaving and cleverness. Aphrodite added beauty and charm. Hermes added cunning and curiosity. Pandora was perfect, attractive, intelligent, and interesting, but she was also part of Zeus's plan, a test for humanity. Zeus gave Pandora a jar, later called a box, and instructed her never to open it. Naturally, curiosity is part of human nature, and Pandora's personality reflected that. The opening of the box. As the story goes, Pandora eventually opened the jar. Out came all the troubles of the world: sickness and disease, pain and suffering, greed, envy, and conflict. The jar contained everything that could make life difficult for humans. She quickly tried to close it, but it was too late. All the troubles had escaped, leaving only hope inside. This is why humans face hardships, but also why they never lose hope. The lessons of Pandora's story. Curiosity has consequences. Pandora's natural desire to explore and understand caused trouble. But without curiosity, humans wouldn't learn, grow, or innovate. Life is a mix of challenges and hope. The story explains why the world contains both suffering and resilience. The gods' influence is unpredictable. Humans live under forces beyond their control, but their actions still matter. Pandora's story also complements Prometheus's story. Prometheus gave humans fire, a gift that required responsibility. Pandora brought curiosity, beauty, and challenges, a reminder that every gift has consequences, cultural and symbolic meaning. Pandora represents the duality of human experience: curiosity, potential, and creativity versus risk, suffering, and mistakes. Hope remains in the jar, symbolizing humanity's ability to endure difficulties and find solutions. The story helped ancient Greeks understand why life is imperfect and why humans must balance desire, curiosity, and caution. Chapter 8. The Great Heroes Perseus, Theseus, and Heracles. Greek mythology isn't just about gods. It's also about heroes, humans or semi-divine figures who performed extraordinary deeds. In this chapter, we'll explore three of the most famous heroes: Perseus, Theseus, and Heracles. Perseus, slayer of the Gorgon. Perseus was the son of Zeus and the mortal Danae. His story begins with prophecy and danger. A king, Acrisius, feared that Danae's son would one day kill him. To prevent this, he imprisoned Danae in a bronze tower. Yet Zeus visited her in divine form, and Perseus was born. Perseus's adventures are full of cleverness, bravery, and a little luck. The Gorgon Medusa. One of his most famous tasks was slaying Medusa, a creature with snakes for hair. Looking directly at Medusa would turn anyone to stone. Perseus cleverly used a reflective shield given by Athena to avoid looking directly at her. He beheaded Medusa while she slept and carried her head as a weapon. Perseus's story teaches that cleverness and courage together can overcome danger. Saving Andromeda. On his way home, Perseus rescued Andromeda, who was chained to a rock as a sacrifice to a sea monster. He used Medusa's head to turn the monster to stone and freed her. Perseus represents the hero who faces impossible challenges and uses both intelligence and courage to succeed. Theseus, the Prince of Athens. Theseus, son of Aegeus, the king of Athens, is another important hero. He is best known for entering the labyrinth and defeating the Minotaur. The Minotaur was a monstrous creature, half man, half bull, living in a labyrinth built by Daedalus. Athens had to send youths as tribute to be devoured by the Minotaur. Theseus volunteered to face this danger, determined to end the tribute. The labyrinth, with the help of Ariadne, who gave him a thread to trace his path, Theseus navigated the labyrinth. He killed the Minotaur and safely led the other youths out. Theseus represents bravery, cleverness, and leadership. His story also shows that heroes often succeed with guidance and help from others. Heracles' strength and trials. Heracles, known to the Romans as Hercules, is perhaps the most famous Greek hero. He was the son of Zeus and the mortal Alcmena. Heracles was known for superhuman strength, courage, and a sometimes short temper. The 12 Labors. Heracles' most famous adventures are the 12 Labors, a series of challenges imposed by King Eurystheus. Slay the Nemean lion. Destroy the 9-headed Lernaean hydra. Capture the golden hind of Artemis. Capture the Erymanthian boar. Clean the Augean stables in a single day. Slay the Stymphalian birds. Capture the Cretan bull. Steal the mares of Diomedes. Obtain the girdle of Hippolyta, queen of the Amazons. Obtain the cattle of Geryon. Steal the apples of the Hesperides. Capture Cerberus, the 3-headed dog of the underworld. These labors were difficult, dangerous, and sometimes impossible. Yet Heracles succeeded through strength, courage, and cleverness. His story emphasizes perseverance, endurance, and the idea that even heroes face punishment and hardship. The lessons of heroes. Perseus, Theseus, and Heracles each demonstrate key qualities the Greeks admired. Courage, facing danger despite fear. Cleverness, solving problems with intelligence as well as strength. Resilience, enduring hardship and continuing on the path of duty. Their stories also remind us that help from others, divine or mortal, often matters as much as personal strength. Chapter 9. The Trojan War. The Trojan War is one of the most famous stories in Greek mythology. It combines gods, heroes, love, anger, and strategy, all elements that make these myths unforgettable. Unlike other myths, the Trojan War involves many humans and gods interacting over years, showing the complexity of fate, pride, and cleverness. The cause of the war. The war began with a seemingly simple event, a goddess argument. At the wedding of Peleus and Thetis, Eris, the goddess of discord, was not invited. She threw a golden apple inscribed to the fairest among the guests. 3 goddesses claimed it: Hera, queen of the gods; Athena, goddess of wisdom and war; Aphrodite, goddess of love. To decide who was the fairest, Zeus asked Paris, prince of Troy, to judge. Each goddess offered a bribe. Hera promised power. Athena promised wisdom and success in battle. Aphrodite promised the love of the most beautiful woman, Helen of Sparta. Paris chose Aphrodite, earning her favor but angering Hera and Athena. As a result, Helen was taken to Troy, either by abduction or elopement depending on the story, sparking the war. The Greeks assemble. The Greek kings and heroes, bound by oaths to defend Helen, gathered a massive army. Agamemnon, king of Mycenae, led the Greek forces. Menelaus, Helen's husband, joined to reclaim her. Famous heroes included Achilles, Odysseus, Ajax, and Diomedes. The Greeks sailed to Troy, beginning a siege that would last 10 years. Gods on both sides. The gods didn't stay neutral. Some sided with Troy, others with Greece. Athena and Hera supported the Greeks, punishing Paris for choosing Aphrodite. Aphrodite, Apollo, and Ares aided the Trojans. The war wasn't just human conflict. It was a cosmic chess game, with divine intervention affecting battles and decisions. Key events in the war. The duel of Paris and Menelaus. Paris fought Menelaus for Helen but was rescued by Aphrodite, highlighting the gods' direct interference. The wrath of Achilles. Achilles, the greatest Greek warrior, withdrew from battle over a dispute with Agamemnon. affecting the Greeks' chances. The deaths of heroes. Hector, Trojan prince and champion, faced Achilles in combat and was killed. The deaths of heroes on both sides show that even the mighty are mortal. The Trojan horse. After years of stalemate, the Greeks devised a clever plan. The Trojan horse. A massive wooden horse hid soldiers inside, pretending to be a gift. The Trojans brought it into the city, and at night, the Greeks emerged, opening the gates and ending the war. Lessons from the Trojan War. Pride and desire can cause disaster. Paris's choice of Aphrodite and the taking of Helen led to massive loss of life. Cleverness and strategy matter. The Trojan horse demonstrates intelligence and planning over brute force. Divine influence. The gods constantly influenced the war, showing that fate and higher powers were central to Greek thinking. Mortality and heroism. Even the greatest warriors die, but their actions are remembered and celebrated in myths. Chapter 10. Odysseus and the Long Journey Home. After the fall of Troy, the Greek heroes began returning home. Most journeys were long and challenging, but Odysseus, king of Ithaca, faced one of the most famous adventures in Greek mythology. A journey that took 10 years. Who was Odysseus? Odysseus was known for his intelligence, cleverness, and resourcefulness, rather than raw strength. He played a crucial role in the Trojan War, devising the idea of the Trojan horse. His mind was as powerful as any warrior's sword. But cleverness alone couldn't guarantee an easy journey home. Odysseus would face gods, monsters, and temptations at every turn. The challenges on his voyage. The Cyclones and the Lotus Eaters. Early in his journey, Odysseus and his men landed among the Cyclones. They looted the city but stayed too long, allowing the Cyclones to fight back. Then they encountered the Lotus Eaters, whose flowers caused forgetfulness and apathy. Odysseus had to drag his men back to the ship, showing that discipline and leadership are essential. The Cyclops Polyphemus. Odysseus and his men entered the cave of Polyphemus, a one-eyed giant who ate some of the men. Using cleverness, Odysseus blinded the Cyclops and escaped by hiding under sheep. This story highlights intelligence over strength and the danger of pride, as Odysseus foolishly revealed his name, inviting Polyphemus's father, Poseidon, to curse him. Circe and the Enchantress. Odysseus arrived on the island of Circe, who turned some of his men into pigs. With the help of Hermes, Odysseus resisted her magic, eventually gaining her aid. Circe gave advice and guidance for the next part of his journey. The Sirens. Odysseus had to sail past the Sirens, creatures whose singing lured sailors to their doom. Cleverly, he blocked his men's ears with wax and tied himself to the mast to listen safely. Again, cleverness and planning saved the day. Scylla and Charybdis. He navigated the strait between Scylla, a six-headed monster, and Charybdis, a massive whirlpool. Loss was unavoidable, but Odysseus minimized it by choosing the lesser evil. Odysseus's return to Ithaca. After 10 years of wandering, Odysseus finally returned home. His palace was overrun with suitors trying to marry his wife, Penelope. With clever planning, disguise, and archery, Odysseus reclaimed his home and restored order. Odysseus's journey emphasizes that intelligence, patience, and perseverance are just as heroic as strength and courage. Lessons from Odysseus's journey. Cleverness and planning matter. Brute force alone could not save Odysseus. Careful thought and strategy were essential. Endurance and patience. 10 years of struggle show that achieving goals can require immense patience. Leadership and responsibility. Odysseus had to protect and guide his men, even when mistakes were made. Consequences of pride. Revealing his name to the Cyclops brought Poseidon's wrath, teaching humility. Chapter 11. Lessons from the Myths. After exploring the gods, heroes, and humans of Greek mythology, it's helpful to pause and reflect. Greek myths were more than entertaining stories. They taught lessons, explained the world, and reflected human nature. Humans and the gods. One consistent theme is the relationship between humans and gods. Humans were mortal and fragile, yet clever and resilient. Gods were powerful but flawed, often jealous, curious, or mischievous. Interactions between gods and humans highlight cause and consequence. Rewards for obedience or cleverness, punishment for pride, disrespect, or curiosity. For example, Prometheus helped humans but suffered eternal punishment. Pandora opened her jar out of curiosity, releasing troubles but leaving hope. Odysseus faced the wrath of Poseidon, but intelligence and patience helped him return home. Greek mythology shows that humans and gods exist in a delicate balance. One cannot ignore the other, and actions always have consequences. Courage, cleverness, and perseverance. Greek myths also emphasize three key qualities in heroes: courage. Perseus, Theseus, and Heracles faced terrifying creatures and impossible tasks. Cleverness. Odysseus used intelligence to navigate monsters, magic, and temptation. Perseus used the reflective shield to defeat Medusa. Perseverance. Heracles completed 12 impossible labors. Odysseus spent 10 years trying to reach home. These qualities remind listeners that strength alone is not enough. Intelligence, patience, and determination matter just as much. Curiosity and consequences. Curiosity is a recurring theme in Greek myths. Pandora's curiosity led to the release of troubles. Humans' curiosity, guided by Prometheus, led to progress and civilization. The lesson is clear. Curiosity can be both beneficial and dangerous, depending on how it is used. The importance of storytelling. Greek myths were also a way to explain natural phenomena. Thunderstorms, seasons, earthquakes. Teach social norms. Respect, honor, courage, and cleverness. Entertain. Stories of gods, monsters, and heroes captivated audiences, making learning enjoyable. Even today, these myths continue to influence literature, art, and culture, showing their enduring relevance. Side notes for relaxed listening. Imagine yourself slowly walking through the stories, witnessing God's decisions, heroes' courage, and humans' curiosity. Picture the lessons unfolding gently. Even mistakes lead to understanding, and challenges build resilience. These stories are not just myths. They are reflections of human experience, designed to calm, inform, and inspire. Chapter 12. Conclusion and Reflection. We've journeyed through Greek mythology, exploring gods, heroes, humans, and the lessons they teach. From the emptiness of chaos to the cleverness of Odysseus, these stories reveal a fascinating world that blends imagination, morality, and insight. The cycle of creation and conflict. Greek myths often show cycles of creation, conflict, and resolution. Chaos gave rise to Gaia, Uranus, and the first beings. The Titans rose and fell, making way for the Olympian gods. Humans were created, gifted with fire, challenged by curiosity, and guided by heroes. These cycles remind us that life involves change, growth, and adaptation. Even the gods, though immortal, face challenges, rivalries, and consequences, much like humans do, in a more dramatic form. The connection between gods and humans. Greek mythology emphasizes the relationship between divine forces and human action. The gods influence human lives, but humans are not powerless. Cleverness, courage, and perseverance often determine outcomes. Mistakes have consequences, but hope, resilience, and learning remain possible. This interplay encourages reflection on our own lives. How do our actions matter? What lessons can we take from challenges and setbacks? Lessons and reflections. From the myths we've explored, several key lessons emerge. Courage and cleverness matter. Heroes like Perseus, Theseus, and Odysseus show that strength and intelligence together lead to success. Curiosity has consequences. Pandora and Prometheus demonstrate that curiosity can bring both progress and challenges. Resilience is essential. Heracles' labors, the Trojan War, and Odysseus' journey remind us that endurance and patience are as important as skill. Hope always remains. Even after troubles escape Pandora's box, hope stays, reminding humans that life can continue positively despite difficulties. Calm perspective on mythology. Greek myths are not just old stories. They are reflections of human nature, culture, and imagination. They explain natural phenomena like storms, earthquakes, and seasons. They explore human emotions, from love and jealousy to courage and pride. They entertain and teach lessons gently, blending humor, drama, and wisdom. These myths can be relaxing, reflective, and even soothing, offering both stories and subtle insights into life. And that brings us to the end of our journey through Greek mythology, a world of gods, heroes, humans, and timeless lessons. Thank you for joining me as we slowly wandered through these stories, exploring courage, cleverness, curiosity, and hope. I hope this calm journey has relaxed your mind and maybe even inspired a little imagination as you drift off. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to show your support, share it with friends who love mythology or calming stories, and subscribe to the channel for more relaxing history and myth content. Also, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear which Greek myth or hero is your favorite, or which story helped you unwind the most. And if you like this video, check out other videos on the channel. There are plenty of calm history and mythology journeys waiting for you. Sleep well, dream of heroes and gods, and I'll see you in the next story.